Hey everybody, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today, what we're going to talk about, well, alright, we're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to do some weeding. And I got this real cool bumblebee here. Just loving my marigolds. Yeah, we're going to talk about some things, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to do my weeding. Alright, and you know, I've talked before about weeding and so on, and you know, should I even weed? But one of the nice things about weeding is that it's a great time to think. Alright, so I'm going to proceed to do some weeding, and I'm just going to ramble on and kind of let you know what I think about things. You know, as far as weeding goes, I mean, you know, should you do it? Well, there are some that say no. Because, I mean, really, what's it doing for you? You know, you're taking weeds out of your garden, but a lot of people think that the weeds are just more life in the soil, which is a good thing for the most part. The healthiest soil is going to be the soil that's got a lot of life in it. And if you're pulling all the life out of it, are you really helping yourself? I don't know. I do it because if I don't, I end up with a lot of grass. You can see a lot of this that I'm pulling out is just grass. So if I don't keep pulling the weeds out, or the grass out, I'll end up with a lawn again, which is what this used to be way back when. But one of the best parts about weeding is that it gives you a lot of time to think. You know, it gets you away from wife and kids and all the stresses of life. It's very therapeutic, I think. Something I like to do. Sometimes I get angry. Yeah, I do. I get mad sometimes. I used to have a real bad problem with my temper. But nothing will calm me down like spending a bunch of time just thinking about life. And because weeding is such a monotonous thing and very much a thing you don't really have to think a lot about. It actually gives you that time, I think. So in my opinion, pulling weeds is good for you and good for your garden. But you know, my wife and kids are talking to me. We've been talking back and forth about, well, you know, if you really want to make your channel go, then you need to put out more content, you know, and you need to have more videos, do this kind of video and that kind of video. And, I mean, yeah, it's true. Question is that really something I want? Is taking a pastime and turn it into a business really something that you want to do? I mean, I like my garden and I like gardening, but if this became my job, particularly making the YouTube videos, if that became a job, how much would it pay? And would the pay justify the time spent? That's a real question. So what do you need for weeding? Well, if you're old, you need a cup of coffee and a pair of glasses. And your fingers. I like to bring a bucket with me, just put the weeds in my little stool. You know, just a regular old step stool. And it's big enough that it'll go over the top of most of your plants when they're small. and it keeps you from squatting down, which for me, don't much care for the whole squatting down thing. I'm getting old for it. Hard on the knees. But so I thought I'd do a series of videos, or start doing videos that are a little bit different. My wife and kids have been after me to do more videos. Do more videos, do more videos. You want more subscribers, you gotta do more videos. Question is that really a big priority for me? So, I don't know. I mean, I like doing this. I enjoy talking. Always enjoyed talking. And I like gardening. Keeps me busy because I am retired. Alright, let's see if I can find you. It does keep me busy. Keeps me off the streets, so to speak. Not like I'm going to be on the streets either way. But, you know, I retired a while back. Oh, that's interesting. When you retire, you gotta have something to do. You got nothing to do, you sit on the couch and die. I still think #1 cause of death in America is the couch. That's my story, I'm sticking to it. But I really think you gotta have something going on in your life. If you don't have something happening, something to do, you should go get a job, because you sit around, you get fat, high blood pressure, start stressing over stuff, you end up dying at a young age. You know, because you're not active, not moving, not sweating. I mean, don't get me wrong, I probably ain't gonna last all that long myself. Probably shouldn't say that. My wife and kids will freak out. But the thing is, when your hobby becomes a job, are you still going to enjoy your hobby? That, I think, is really the big question. You know? And don't get me wrong, you ain't got to be retired to pull weeds. I mean, it's still very therapeutic to come out here and spend some time doing something mindless and just thinking about things, which I really do believe is good. Of course, that's just my opinion. But it does give you a chance to really get up close and personal with your plants. You know what you got going on, and your soil, get your hands down in the dirt. You see what kind of bugs you got. It's a great time to pull bugs off of some of the plants, take a look at them, evaluate what's happening. Do things like deadhead your flowers. Sprinkle the seeds around maybe if you want to. And it's calm, it's cool. You hear the birds singing, and, see things happening around you. Usually there's no real hurry doing it, unless you got a specific goal to meet. How much you want done for the day or what have you. But back to the original subject, I guess. You know, my wife and kids talking to me about different ways I can make money with my garden. And I used to play a lot of golf. And read a lot about golfers and such back when I was in the military. For those of you who don't know, I spent 24 years in the Navy. I was a senior chief, retired aviation structural mechanic, fixed airplanes for a living. Did 24 years. And that's the biggest reason I can do what I do. When I was a young man, I lived in a small town, Newton, Kansas. You never heard of it, I'm sure. It's right outside of Wichita, well, about 25 miles outside of Wichita. You know, one of them places where a traffic jam is 3 cars in line at the stop sign. At the time, it was about 20,000 people. We had Main Street downtown. Had a few stoplights on it. Wasn't like the town I graduated from. I graduated from a town that had one flashing red light. That was it. No other stoplights. I dated a girl once. Lived in Gossel, Kansas, and she was a class of 12 in her hometown high school. The place I graduated, I was one of 56. Something like that, 50 something. So it was a small town where I graduated from, but Newton was the bigger town just down the road. And I don't know how I got started talking about that. But at any rate, well, what happened was I worked in factories for a long time. Worked in different factory jobs. Made bathtubs for a living. Made lawnmowers. And then had some other jobs. I worked in a convenience store though. And I was working in a convenience store. I got to know all the cops. You know, small town convenience store, middle of the night. We used to give free coffee to the police so they would come and visit us and make sure we didn't get robbed. Which I did get robbed once. At gunpoint. But when I was a young man, I remember all the cops had been in the military at one point or another. And I had the military recruiting me quite a bit because I could shoot. I had this foster dad whose father would come down to visit. He was an old World War II sniper. He was real good with a gun. He was impressed by my abilities. I've always been real good at aiming things. I play pool, darts, things like that pretty well. Golf. But back in the time, I was not what you would consider military material. I led somewhat of an alternative lifestyle. Yeah, I was young. I was having a ball. But he told the Marines, "You need to get this guy. He's a real good shot. He can shoot a gun like nobody's business. So you need to get this guy. Get him in the military." I was not having it. But all these cops, every one of them had been in the military at one point or another. And we did a fair bit of talking because, you know, small town, middle of the night. I worked the night shift. I was always a night shift kind of guy. But I would work the night shift. They'd come in with nothing better to do with their time because there just wasn't nothing going on. I mean, this is one of the towns where they roll up the streets at 10 o'clock. And so I was one of like 2 convenience stores, I think, that were open that late. So they'd come in, hang out, we'd bullshit back and forth. Every one of them had been in the military at one point or another. And to a man, every one of them said, man, I wish I would have stuck it out and retired. Every one. So things got hard back in the 80s. I mean, people are complaining about now, man. I'll tell you what, 80s sucked. Particularly where I was from, in Kansas. Like I said, Wichita was close by, so that was where the real money was at. And they had a lot of aviation companies that built airplanes. Boeing, Beech, Cessna, Learjet, Piper. And well, in the 80s, interest rates went crazy. When interest rates go up, airplane sales go down dramatically. Airplanes are not cheap. So what you had was a lot of people lost their jobs. Of course, this is during a very inflationary time also, and things were getting expensive. I remember at one point, I actually had a CD that was making me 12% interest. When you think about that, right now a CD makes like next to nothing. But back then, I mean, you know, I hadn't gone looking for it. I mean, a home loan, so I have no idea what the interest rates were on houses, but I'm sure they were probably right up there with CDs or better. Well, of course, they'd have to be better. The banks wouldn't make no money. But yeah, so we had an issue where, first off, a lot of people came to compete for any jobs that were available, and you know, it's a small town anyway, so there wasn't a whole lot of jobs to be had. And a lot of these people got laid off at, you know, like Learjet, Boeing, and all that. Now, these are guys that were making 20-some, well, I don't know, it was probably 10 or 15 bucks an hour back then, where, you know, most factory jobs that I was working at only paid 5. They had more experience and better qualifications, you know, NC lathe operators and stuff like that. And so, you know, it was hard to get a job. And in the convenience store where I worked at, they ended up selling it. And so the people who bought the convenience store were only going to pay minimum wage, and I was making about twice minimum then, and I wasn't going to go back to work for that amount. And there were some things going on in town and in my life that, you know, I knew I needed to get my shit together, start looking at a real plan in life. And so I decided, you know, I got to get out of this town. I want to go see some things, go some places that I'd never been before. So I decided I was going to join the military. So I joined the Navy. And I'm so glad I did, man. Let me tell you what. That's where I met my wife. That's how I got to travel the world, man. I've been all over. We've lived in Hawaii, Spain, California, Tennessee, a couple different places here in Florida. Lived in 2 places in California. I've been all over the world, floating on the back of a ship, actually on the front of the ship at that point. You know, you don't get to spend a lot of time most often. Now, there's a couple places where I'd spend 90 days or so, like in Greece and some of the Caribbean islands and such. But when I joined the military, that was my goal. I was going to retire. I was going to do what these cops had failed to do and wish that they had it done. So it was never a question that if I joined, I was going to do my 20 years and get that paycheck. And I'll tell you guys, if you're young and you're thinking about it, I think it's still a pretty good deal. Now, am I telling you to go join the military? No, I don't care. I mean, I'm not going to have to feed you, so what you do with your life is your business. But I will tell you, it was very good for me. I learned a lot. Like I'll tell you, for one, when I joined, you know, like I said, I was from a small town in Kansas. And there wasn't a whole lot of diversity in Kansas, if you know what I'm saying. It was pretty much, no, believe it or not, there was a lot more Hispanics than you would think. I mean, quite a few. Actually, one of the biggest names in the phone book was Oriano. I know, because I went trying to find my best friend's girlfriend's name in the phone book one time, and man, there was a lot of Orianos. But one of the things that I learned a lot about other people in the military. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been around a lot of different people. I was a boys' home kid, a foster kid for a very long time. So I got to meet all kind of different folks, different backgrounds, histories, experiences. Not all of them good, I'll tell you. People do some bad things to their kids, man, I'm gonna tell you. Just like crazy stuff. You go into a place like that, you find out just how messed up people can be. But anyway, so that's what I did. I finished up my military time, got my 24 in. I was going to stick around probably a little longer, but there were some mitigating factors and such. I wasn't going to be able to come back down here and be with my family. I'd have had to spend a lot more time by myself, and I didn't really want to do that. I did 2 years alone. My family was down here in Florida. I was up in Virginia. You know, and I know a lot of y'all had to be away from family, and it sucks. But you have to get away from your family for 2 years. I mean, I did get to go home on vacations, and did get to go home on long weekends because it's only about a 9-hour drive between here and there. On long weekends, I'd come home if I wasn't on the ship. That was a long 2 years. Let me tell you what. But I didn't want to bring them with because my oldest two were in high school, and I didn't want to pull them out the last 2 years of high school. So I stuck it out, did the time I needed to get the money I was wanting, and then I retired. I mean, I did pretty well in the military, I think. I'm very proud of my time there. But that's what allows me to live the life that I live now, is that military retirement check. So you was to ask me, should I join the military? I mean, I highly recommend it. I think it taught me a lot of things. It taught me discipline. It taught me a lot about people. And you'll never meet as many people in your day-to-day life in a regular city or wherever as you will in the military. I mean, you get to know them. I mean, because I once lived in a room with 143 other men. You get to know a lot of people when you live in the same room with them for 6 months at a shot. And yes, that's one room with 143 stinking, farting, snoring, foot stinking men. Let me tell you, that was an experience. That was the biggest berthing I ever lived in. And that's pretty normal. I mean, that's not like an unusual thing in the military, in the Navy anyway. But at any rate, so doing something like this once you retire, is a great thing. Of course, you got to be able to set yourself up to retire. And, that's going to be on you to fix up. I mean, if you aren't planning for your future. Neither is anybody else. Yeah, we got Social Security and all that, but it ain't gonna pay you a whole lot. You'll be a lot better off if you make a plan for yourself. The military's a great plan. Yeah, let me move the camera. So, yeah, there's a lot of advantages. You get that GI loan, the GI Bill. But back to the original subject, which was the idea of me doing more videos and whether or not I want this to become a full-time job. Get more subscribers, I need more subscribers. But do I? Do I really? Like I said, when I was in the military, I played a lot of golf. Yes, I still had a job. I'll be thinking, oh, so that's what the military do. They sit around and play golf all day. No, that's not true. I did it on my time off. But I enjoyed golf. You know, I was pretty good at it for my level and for the amount of time. And I didn't start playing until I was like, let's see, I was playing in '99, which would have made me, late 30s. That's when I started playing. 99, 2000-ish. And had I started younger, hell, I might have done something with it. The thing is, you know, I did a lot of reading about it. You know, had a lot of golf magazines. One of the things that people talked about is, you know, the average person plays golf for fun. Professional golfers play golf for work. So, quite a bit of difference there. But it's kind of like this. So if I was doing this as a job, this wouldn't be fun anymore. This would become a job. I'd have to do certain things. Wouldn't really have a lot of options. I'd have to start doing things differently. You know, like, I will eat things that I grow out of my garden because I know they're good. I know they've been grown well. I know where they come from, what kind of seeds were planted. I know what kind of chemicals were used, which none. And so, you know, fruit that doesn't look perfect is fine for me. If you try selling that, people are going to expect that perfection. They're used to going to the grocery store and getting that perfect fruit. Or that perfect vegetable. You know, one that looks just like out of a magazine and such. By the way, if you're going to a farmer's market and you're getting perfect fruit, is it really locally grown? Is it really sustainably grown? I mean, for those of you who grow in your own garden, I imagine you probably have the same experience that I do. That aren't a lot of perfect fruits. Not a lot of perfect veggies. Unless you use a lot of chemicals, you're killing bugs and fertilizing with chemicals and so on. Which, hey, I don't judge, man. You do what you want to do. I don't use them. Because for one, if I want to take a leaf like this leaf right here, all I got to do is rub the dirt off. Well, it'd be better if I had some water. But I can eat that leaf. I ain't got to worry about it. I know what's in the dirt. I know what got sprayed on it. The only thing got sprayed on my garden is water. So I ain't got to worry about that. But if I tried doing it for a living, I'd probably have to use fertilizer. Might even have to do some kind of bug sprays. You know, I'm old. And I know that BT and neem are supposed to be fantastic and completely good for you. But what people forget is asbestos was supposed to be the same thing. It's supposed to be fire retardant and completely healthy. You know, fantastic product, new space age technology. And then we found out, oh yeah, well, maybe not so much. Same thing with DDT. Yeah, DDT is fantastic. Kills all the bugs. You never have to worry about them. Yeah, well, it also kills people. And that's why it's illegal now. But back in the day, you know, everybody thought it was just fine. And I'm not trying to say anything about neem. I have done no research that shows that it's bad or anything like that, or BT. But I don't trust it. I've been lied to for years. Now, I don't know whether or not I'm willing to trust some company to tell me legitimately what's safe and what's not. Particularly when they're profiting off of that thing they're telling me. Oh yeah, it's perfectly safe, you'll be fine. So what am I trying to tell you? Yeah, I'm not really trying to tell you anything. Just that I don't automatically trust companies anymore. I'll tell you right now, part of the whole problem with this whole pandemic thing, with information in general, you never know who's bullshitting anymore. There's talk about, fact checkers. We check the facts. We tell you what's true and what's not. Yeah, well, maybe. And maybe you're gonna lie to me for your own gains, just like everybody else has in the past. Oh, no, we can trust YouTube, right? Everything that gets said on YouTube has to be right. Alright. Believe that, I got a bridge, I'll sell you. It's a really nice one in New York. Sell it to you cheap. Everybody has an agenda. Well, not everybody. A lot of people have an agenda. And that agenda is usually not for your benefit, it's usually for theirs. And I'm not trying to be cynical, I mean, it's just the way shit is, man. Politicians are politicians. Expect anything else from a politician, it's like expecting a dog to get up and start making dinner for you. You can believe it all you want, that shit probably ain't gonna happen. I mean, of course that's just my opinion. But yeah, so, like I said, my wife and kids are kind of after me to make some money from all this that I'm doing. Make more videos. If I did this kind of video, I'd get more subscribers. If I did more videos, I'd get more subscribers. Maybe change my attitude and what I believe, I'd get more subscribers. Yeah, I got news for you, man. First off, for all of you guys that are trying to make it in YouTube, everything I've heard, this isn't the best paying job in the world. Not unless you get a lot of subscribers. And I mean a lot. And that makes sense. I mean, if you think about it, you get paid for production. I'm not trying to down on YouTube. I mean, I kind of like it because I get to talk and maybe some of you guys will listen, maybe you won't. But I get to say my piece. You either like it or don't, listen to it or not. That's up to you, but I still get to put it out there, which is pretty neat. I mean, I grew up back in the day when that wasn't available. I mean, if you didn't write a book, you couldn't get your word out to anybody. Maybe unless you were like publishing articles in a magazine or something like that. But it's really pretty fantastic when you think about it. The things that we can do now. But realistically expecting to becoming a YouTube star and making a real good living off of this, I mean, that may not be so realistic. If you're looking to make a living, maybe you should join the military. Maybe you'd be better off in the long run. I doubt that the retirement plan at Google is all that in a bag of donuts. In fact, I'm pretty sure there isn't one. I mean, for content providers. I'm sure that if you worked for the company, it'd be fine. Yeah, so I don't know if this is really something I want to try and work real hard to make a living at or not. One, oftentimes when you do that, you find yourself having to make compromises to achieve the results you're looking for. And don't get me wrong, I am not a purist. I'm not one of the guys who thinks you should never have to compromise anything, because that's just not realistic. If you still think that, well, I'm never going to compromise my values. Well, okay. Come talk to me in 50 years. By that time, life will have explained a few things to you. And then life has a way of teaching you that you don't know quite as much as you think you do. So, you know, me doing this is fun for me. And to be honest with you, one day I'm going to check out of this life. I think it'll be kind of cool. My kids will have these videos to look at. So yeah, see that? That's my dad. And then they serve a purpose for me too. So I don't know how many times I'm like, man, when did I plant this? So I'll go back and I'll look at the videos. And, oh yeah, that's when I did it. Or, you know, how did I plant that? What did I do? What did I have in this bed last year? What did I have in that bed? What should I do the following year? It's a great record. You know, because I don't remember everything as well as I used to. Which tends to happen as you get older. So, do I really want to try and make a living doing this? I mean, in a way I am, because I'm providing food for my family. And that's really the big thing. I'm also making my life better by gardening, because I'm out here in the sun, in the wind, listening to the birds, got my hands in the dirt, which is a really good thing for you. I honestly believe that if somebody did some research, they would probably find that getting dirty hands is very healthy. So I can honestly say that growing this garden has improved my life a lot. Keeps me sane, keeps me out of trouble, gives me a way to spend my days. My grandfather was an old farmer. I mean, like old farmer. And he inherited his land from his father. And he started farming. Well, he was born in 1902. And, Died in 2002. Man, what a century to live through. But he lived to be 99 years old, and I really think to this day, a lot of what kept him alive, even when he went to the old folks' home, because he ended up having to sell his land, or not sell it, but he couldn't live on it anymore because of a reservoir that was being built very near his land. So he had to move out of the house. So he moved into town, and one of the first things he did was build a big garden, and he grew his own food out of the garden, as he had done for years, you know, back on his farm. He was an old cattle rancher and just general farmer. But I really think that garden helped him get through that transition from being a farmer to basically being a retired guy who sat around in town and didn't have a farm to care for anymore. And hopefully it'll do the same for me. I know it definitely hasn't done me any harm. So, well, alright, I'm done weeding this patch. So, I'm going to probably throw some compost down on it. This is my shade garden. It gets shade about half the day in the summertime. So, this is charcoal, by the way, that I put in my garden. Some it helps out by like getting like soaking up bacteria and such in life. It's more porous. But anyway, so I'm done weeding, so I'm gonna put some compost on it and probably water it in and call this one done. But we'll see if I even publish this, but if I do, and you know, thanks everybody for listening to me ramble. If you're wondering why I don't put out more videos and why I'm not really working harder to become a full-blown money-making YouTuber, well, I mean, that's kind of why. You know, I'm just not that motivated to do it. I got a retirement check coming in. I don't really need the income. The income wouldn't be all that great to begin with. I don't sell things online because, you know, money in that, once again, requires a lot of extra work, and may or may not be worth my money to do because of the situation that I am in. That's not to say that it isn't a good thing for y'all to do, or something you might want to pursue. I mean, it's a great way to make a living if you can swing it, I would think. And I enjoy it. I like doing it. I like talking. I like having my thoughts expressed. And, you know, if you don't like them, the nice thing about having a YouTube channel is if you don't like what I got to say, you can just turn it off. You don't have to listen to me. You know, if you think I'm full of crap, then you should turn it off. Why listen to somebody you don't believe? But if you think I got some value, then you get to listen to it and pick and choose what advice you want to follow, and then ignore the rest. And you know, unlike, you know, having kids, I don't have to worry about whether or not you follow my advice. But even for my kids, I always tell them the same thing, you know. Like, I just give advice. I tell you what I think. It ain't got nothing to do with your life or anything like that. I tell you from my experience what has worked for me and what hasn't, so that you don't have to repeat the same mistakes that I did to figure out how to go about life. That's the beauty of being human, is we can pass that knowledge on so that you don't have to relearn the same things that I've spent my time learning. Alright, anyway, so thanks once again for stopping by. And, you know, like, subscribe as you feel. I do like when people make comments on my videos, because then, you know, I get to interact with you and, you know, maybe change some things, maybe not. But it does give me an idea of what you're thinking and where you're at with this. So, at any rate, thanks once again for stopping by, and have a great day, and grow something. Get something growing in your backyard, man. I'm gonna tell you, this is one of the most therapeutic things. Sitting out here pulling weeds, nobody bothering you. You get to think about things, and kind of figure out where you're at. All right. So anyway, y'all have a great day, and thanks once again.